So today I have Sophie Pool with me, and she's a vegan. She also does coaching groups, and she's got a lot of different interesting things going on. So I wanted to get her on the channel, get an interview. My name is Ryan. This is High Carb Regenerator. Welcome to the channel, and welcome, Sophie.
Thank you so much. It's so cool to talk with you. Actually, we've been in contact for
a long time now.
Yeah, maybe about a year and a half or two years ago. I don't know, actually, exactly.
Yeah, I think you first reached out to me in the comments section, didn't you?
I'm
think
not
it's how that
sure.
worked. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. So anyway, how did you get started? You're fully vegan, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get started on that, or were you always that way?
No, never. In a sense, I was about 4 years ago. I was very, very ill. I had a burnout, but the worst case that I've ever heard of. So I couldn't walk. I lost about 80% of my vision. I didn't hear well. Like I had a continuous like peep in my ear, which drove me like insane. Like the world.
Yeah.
That was the biggest part. Actually, I had a lot of attacks, nerve attacks in my body. And I started to try to find a pill, like a solution with the doctors, trying to find, okay, how can I heal? And at some point, I remember it was like June the 30th of 4 years ago, 2019.
Oh, wow. So that's recent.
It just clicked and said, you know what? I've tried everything, like literally tried everything. Why don't I try my diet? And I was eating everything at that point. I was never vegan. I actually looked kind of like a little weird against vegans in a sense. I had my own judgments. The only vegans that I knew at that time were really the hippie ones. And I came from a very corporate career. I was wearing heels and dresses and, you know, the briefcase things, and I had my BMW car. So I couldn't really see myself.
Yeah.
But it had nothing to do with vegan or not. It had something to do with healing. And so I switched from one day to the other. I switched from eating everything, drinking alcohol, coffee, just everything, to raw vegan.
Oh, raw vegan.
Yes. I did 6 months of raw vegan. And then I ended up in the hospital. Actually, I had an attack in my liver. And this is when a doctor who was very, very awake in that sense and very aware, he said, girl, just step away from the fully raw because your body is detoxing at a rate that you're actually over pressuring your liver at this point. Like it's doing too much of a work. Yeah. And by the time I completely healed already, so I could move, I was actually on holiday in Bali. So that was incredible. And that's how I then started to find my own journey of fully raw, high raw, vegan, plant-based, and just made a lot of mistakes and then learned a lot of things.
So have you had, you know, any kind of like weight loss, or were you not into that at all?
Yeah, well, I think it's a ton of story just spoke. Yeah. I think I lost a lot of weight in the first 3 to 4 months, like a lot. I was always overweight my entire life, and I really lost a lot of weight. When we're looking at kilos, I think my highest weight was about 100 kilos, and I dropped all the way down to like 58 kilograms. So that's about 60% of what I weighed in total that I went back to. And I started gaining weight again when I went off the fully raw. Mm. But I went into this lifestyle of like raw vegan unprepared. I did not do any research. I didn't even know what raw vegan was. So I underate, but I healed. So I kept under eating. So I lost a lot of weight. And when I started to fully get back into like full eating programs, it started to gain back a little bit. And this is when I found out like Freely or Dan McDonald, the Life Regenerator, Lou Corona, and started to educate myself, knowing that this is actually a thing here. There are kind of like rules or not really rules, but like things that could help to know. And this is when I started to find my own balance in this. And it's a very complicated world for me because I got sucked into it. Like I started watching what I eat in a day. I could like from 20 people I knew that were in this lifestyle, I could name their entire food plan, their meal plan. This one is eating so many bananas. This one is eating no fruit. This one is eating only fruit. I just thought it was so complicated. Yeah. So that's a long journey in a sense. It's a 4-year journey right now to find my own.
So have you tried all the different variations of it? I mean, because you can drive yourself nuts. And I think, somebody like my channel, you see it a little bit, but like somebody like the Vegetable Police, that guy's tried literally everything. And, it kind of becomes daunting. I was going to be creating I have another YouTube channel, and I think I'm going to just kind of call it, I'm Not Your Guru, because I really just want to show my journey. And I got a lot of people in the DMs asking me to heal them. And, it's just, if you really want to heal, I think raw vegan's like the way to go, but can you afford it and can you find it?
Yeah.
So have you tried everything, and what have you tried so far?
I think within like the plant-based variant, because I know the Vegetable Police also went all the way left and all the way right, which I think he's hilarious. I watch a lot of videos with my ex, actually. Super funny. So within plant-based, I definitely tried all fruit, all the way to all vegetables, and everything in between. So we're talking low fat, higher protein, no fat, and kind of like every variation in between. I also did a 4-month juice fasting. I did a couple of water fasting periods. So yeah, I definitely threw myself into the water of let's experiment, whatever works for me. Mm-hmm. And the most interesting thing is what I found for me is high raw is not necessary. Fully raw is not necessary for me.
Yeah.
It was great for healing, but it puts me kind of also in this thing where my normal life, where I'm a lot of traveling, where I'm a lot with clients in restaurants and hotels and things, it put me so in restriction that it got to my brain. And if I have like an 80%, 20% kind of thing, and I can have a little bit of leeway and I'm not addicted to anything that I'm eating. So when it's cooked, it's like cooked broccoli or sweet potato or pumpkin, or it's not rice in that sense, which I experimented with too as well. I did the whole experiment everywhere when it comes to the plant-based stuff. And for me, I found out that high raw wasn't the best. Only fruit wasn't the best. Only vegetables wasn't the best. I dove deep into sprouts and microgreens for a period, and I was full on the algaes. And thought, this is more of the Hippocrates Health Institute diet.
Oh, yeah.
I implement. Super fascinating. I just wanted to experience that too. And then just coming to a balance of, I'm a younger woman of like 30 years old. What do I need in my lifetime right now? If I feel really, really good, and if I'm energized and I have no illnesses to heal, I want to do preventive care, but I also want to live my life.
Yeah.
And then what's actually my body? I posted today on my Instagram story. It's like, actually my body will tell me, because the last like 3 weeks, I've been surrounding myself a lot with family, and they eat everything, and also meats and fish. And for the first time in this 4 years, I looked at meat and fish, and it was so weird because it was kind of flirting with me. In a sense, I looked at it and I wasn't repulsed anymore. And I literally was repulsed for years. Like, I don't even look at it. It's not my food. I don't want to eat it. It's when I go into a grocery store, a restaurant, it doesn't do anything with me. But now it started to like wink at me. Like I felt like my body was like, there's something there. What's going on? So I'm always very open. I'm not into boxes or any kind of things. Yeah. So this is actually when I started doing some research, and my diet was a little bit lesser on the greens lately, on the green juices, on the proteins, even in the plant-based world. So then I just adjust. So then I'm like, okay, let's get some, let's experiment with maybe some very high quality protein powder. Let's upgrade a little bit on the microgreens or on the spinach or the green juices. So I think when we're in tune with our bodies inside, and we're not just only copying what anyone else does, like the gurus, like you say. Yeah, it's the best. Your body would tell you. Yeah, that's the phase that I'm in right now. Really listening inside, because basically everyone that's watching your videos, I would say, I'm guessing, is like me and like you. We have done our homework. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. For the most part, we're like, how many percentage of fat do we do? It's driving me nuts. That's detail stuff. And we, it's at that point, I feel like, let's try to tune into our own bodies and see what actually makes us feel the best. And then also drop the whole weight loss thing. It's like, for me, if I poop right, that's the best sign.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because really, if you look at it, it turns into a prison. It really is. It's almost worse than what you came into. You might not have as much weight on you or whatever, but you're living in your own anxiety-built prison, and it's just it's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said that you did 4 months of juice fasting.
Yes.
All right. So I've got so many people that want me to do this, and I refuse to do it. A, because you have to be damn near a millionaire to do it these days. And B, because I have no interest in it. But how did you like it?
I enjoyed it immensely.
Everybody says that.
I would say it has helped me so much in spirituality, in loving myself more, in finding a connection with myself, in my purpose, in my power. It has nothing really to do for me, in a sense, when it comes to my my body, even though that's weird, because everything changed when my juice fasting period was over, and also during, because I didn't have any period anymore on fully raw. And that was my fault, in a sense. I was very stressed. Like, I just came from this amazing burnout, and then I underate for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I lost my period already before I went raw. So it's not because of the raw diet, but I just didn't have a period. It came back during my juice fast at like day, I don't even know, very short in the beginning, which was such a sign for me. There were a lot of parasites coming out, a lot of microplaque. And I know everyone's like, it doesn't exist until you have it in your actual hand. It doesn't exist, but when it's there, it's there. And it did a lot for me spiritually, mentally, just myself. And also I, at that time, already did heal a lot of my eating addiction, because I was a very emotional eater. I've been bullied a lot when I was younger, and food was my way of dealing with it, building a little bit of security blanket in my body, literally. So by that time I did a juice fast, I really, really prepared myself. I didn't go from like a normal diet to juice fast. That's one thing that I always say to everyone, because for me, that's tricky, because you haven't actually solved your habits in that sense. You're just like going from all the way left to all the way right. For some people it works, but for me, I think that would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
That's just a thought. I don't know for sure. And I had great help.
Who?
I didn't just do it by myself. I had 2 coaches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a big important thing in my life.
Yeah, because I actually had that stuff come out of me when I was fully raw, and I wasn't doing a juice. That's why I think I've always been reluctant to do a juice fast, is because I had the parasites, I had the mucoid plaque, I had all that without actually doing a juice fast.
That's super cool.
Yeah. But I will say this: I was spending roughly $400 a week in food. Legit, because I was juicing, but I wasn't doing only juices, but I was juicing a lot of like dandelion greens, celery. What was another one? I
call that kind of like the high end version of juice fasting.
Yeah,
I was literally, I was like 3/4 of my juice fast. I was in a city, at families' houses, juicing from like bathrooms, and it was very intense.
Wow. Yeah.
But what I did is I just did a lot of orange juice.
Okay.
So I made it very simple. I did a lot of orange juice. It was winter at the time, so maybe like 2 orange juice a day, which actually saved a lot of money for me. And then I did 2 green juices, but I didn't make it complicated. Like, I didn't go to like the Dandelion Greens. That would have been amazing, but I just stick to very normal. What could I afford? Romaine lettuce, a bag of spinach, lots of cucumbers, lots of celery. And if I wanted extra juices, I would do like watermelon if it was available, or anything else that was like there. I didn't go into complicated juices like a lot of beets or, I don't know, exotic things. I just kept it very, very simple, and that made it affordable for me.
I think the dandelion greens is what did it for me. I think that's what cleaned me out the most.
Wow.
But you actually, it's really hard to find them now. Like you don't see them in stores at all anymore. So I guess you would have to grow your own. But you're from, or you were you living? Where are you from? Like Sweden or Switzerland
I'm
or
from Holland.
Holland? Okay,
Netherlands, yeah.
yeah. So is it easy to do there, or is it kind of
Juice
not the
fasting?
easiest? Yeah,
Um, I think so. Like, I think it's as hard as anywhere. Like, it's if you're in like Asia, I think it's the easiest.
yeah.
Like somewhere close to what's the thing called? The equator.
The equator, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the easiest. But I love the season of like the oranges.
yeah,
That was I intentionally did it. I had lots of mandarins and lots of oranges, and that made it feel the best for me. I could also envision that during melon time, somewhere like summer, it would be great.
yeah,
I know people just have done watermelon for 30 days and just
yeah,
because it was
yeah,
affordable and it was everywhere. So I think you can make it as best as you want, like the dandelion greens and exotic things and really doing 30 different ingredients a day juicing, and that will be amazing. But I had so many things going on in my private life that I just couldn't make it complicated. And the last month I actually did in Spain. And then I had just like mandarin and orange trees right next outside of my home. So that was living the dream life. If I would advise anyone, like go to like Spain, where you're like in nature. And I just grabbed my lettuce from the garden, and there were so many orange trees, like just literally on the streets, and it was just everywhere. And I think I did the best time, like juice fasting there. That was heaven. Yeah.
and
Okay.
oh,
Yeah.
sorry, what were you saying?
Like if you want it, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
Where you are, you can make it like even just like a fully raw diet. It's so tough
it
in a
is.
sense. In the
Yeah,
Northern European, it's possible, but it is, it's not like the tropics. So you're a lot of bananas, a lot of dates, a lot of simple greens, and just have to, make your way around the seasons.
and did you ever try something like the Starch Solution or maximum weight loss? Did you ever try anything like that?
Yeah. I definitely ventured into the Starch Solution and just like eating a lot of potatoes.
Yeah,
Um, because I was like 6 months raw, I felt going back to potatoes, I felt heavy,
mm.
just like heavier at night. So I actually feel the best. This is so weird. I feel the best on juices.
Mm.
I just feel the best, like literally my body just like it's on fire. And then I feel the best on like fully raw.
Yeah,
So when I add the potatoes, the stuff, I do find that I'm a bit, like a tiny bit, a little bit slower.
yeah,
But like I said in the beginning, for me, it's worth it because I don't feel that full restriction and I'm just preventing, and I really cleaned my body out. And as long as I'm healthy, I do that 80%, 20% kind of thing. And even when I did the Starch Solution, I was still like relative for. I never had breakfast with, buckets of like oatmeal
yeah,
or lots of potatoes for lunch.
yeah,
It really doesn't make sense. And I found my own routine by looking at all of these different gurus. Like
yeah,
I looked at their diary and just like 20 names and everyone's own personal thing and just made the best of it. Like, okay, this one says juices and this one says this one. And so I made like my perfect formation of it. And then I had a friend and she actually taught me how to, this is kind of a spiritual thing, but she taught me how to communicate with my body through muscle testing.
oh
Uh,
yeah,
and that helped out tremendously. And then I also went to an Ayurvedic doctor because I lived in Bali for like a year and a half. And I got tested for what kind of Ayurvedic type I am. So I put the combination of that muscle testing, all of my homework from the gurus, and the Ayurvedic results. I put them into my perfect routine. And then I'm still shifting and as I go. Like, for example, now the salmon and the chicken were like, there's something here for you. And I was freaking out. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
but what are you here for? Okay, the protein. So maybe a little bit shifting here. And then I'm human too. So there's periods where I don't do what I should do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole power versus force is David Hawkins. If somebody really wants to learn that muscle testing, the book is called Power versus Force by David Hawkins.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a really good book. You really only have to read the first like chapter or two, but it kind of explains everything that's going on. But that's actually where that comes
It's
from.
so cool. It's so cool. Like
Yeah,
I digest really, really big salads with lots of sprouts. The best when there's like a little bit of steamed vegetable with it. I
yeah,
don't know. It's just, and I digest salads pretty well. Definitely after the juice fast, but it's like that just works so good for me, and I feel great. And it's just okay. Let's toss in a little bit of steamed broccoli. Like who cares?
yeah, yeah,
I'm not going to, this is pretty healthy right here. And if steamed broccoli is going to put me off, then I find it worrisome because for me, what I've learned in this 4-year journey, literally diving into all of this food research and lifestyle changes, is our brains and our beliefs, our thoughts about what we eat is actually way more important than what most of people consider. So we're looking at all the things and then still, for example, this steamed broccoli, like if I would think very badly of it, very wrong, it probably would be received from my body very differently.
yeah,
So this is also what I learned is I try to really stimulate, don't take on what I believe. Like if you're sick, we've got answers for you. Go fully raw or like water fasting, juice fasting, how far you want to go to heal. But don't listen to me when it comes to diet and lifestyle, because I don't want to influence you into brainstorming and brainwashing you that just like sprouted broccoli is just the best thing ever. And if you don't eat it, you're not doing well.
exactly.
And I definitely got in that trap myself, listening to everyone else and then judging what was on my plate. And I literally thought that lentils was very scary. Like it was a very scary food for me for a little bit of period in the last 4 years. And this is when I realized, this is not going so well.
Yeah, because you're talking about greens, and I noticed that there's a huge difference in my mental, cognitive, whatever space when I have greens in, when I don't. But I personally cannot digest greens without any fat. Like it has to have a little bit of fat, otherwise it just comes out like it went in.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I've really noticed that. So, but if I listen to the Durian Rider crew, I wouldn't be able to eat greens like that, so you kind of gotta just really listen to yourself with that whole thing.
Yeah, it's so confusing. Like one person is saying, greens are the worst, and the other person are saying greens are the best.
Yeah.
But this is what I literally took away from like John Rose. It's like we're shitting in the same party. We're shooting at each other, but we're greens versus fruit. It's the best conversation to have. We're all on the winning team here, if there was any a winning team. Like,
yeah.
Whoa, the whole world is eating burgers and fries and pizza, and look where we're spending our times. It's super important, but at the same time, let's zoom out and like we're literally talking. Adding a green juice or not, and is that going to be then detrimental for our health or the best thing? Like that's great conversation to have, but don't get lost.
Yeah, it reminds me because I did an interview with Brad Marshall, who did the croissant diet, and ever since I published that video, some of the people who used to talk to me on a daily won't even talk to me now because I interviewed somebody who talks about fat.
Oh no, I would say the world is so interesting. We don't know shit. We don't know. And I really think that if you're following, let's say, if you're following Durian Rider and you really believe it, it's going to work.
Yeah.
And if you follow a fat diet and you really believe it, it might also work.
Yeah.
So the power of our brains and our thoughts, we shouldn't be underestimating this.
No.
So it's just so fascinating to me that I know people that are looking incredibly and they're like eating crap. Grandmas that are super old and they're like amazingly flirting with the whole world and just like 90 years old thriving. And if you look at their diet, it's the worst.
Yeah.
But I would be that person for sure. If I was 90, like sign me up.
Yeah.
So there's
100%.
so many other factors than just like fat or not fat or grains or not, or greens with fat or bananas or potatoes. It's like, are you loving life? Are you happy in your surroundings? Are you loving yourself? How are you in your passion? Do you have a purpose? Are you thrilled about something? Is there a community? Are you in nature? Just so many things.
So many things. Yeah. It reminds me, I do DoorDash, and I was out and it was really, really stupid hot and humid day. And I didn't feel like coming home and cooking. So I stopped at the Chinese place And the woman was there. She's very slender. This has actually happened to me twice, but it happened to me this past week. And somehow we got onto the conversation of talking about diet. And she's like, you Americans are so nuts. She's like, all we do is eat some rice, throw a bunch of vegetables on it, and once in a while have tofu or protein, and we're fine. You guys make such a huge thing out of it. And she's right. Everything
Yeah.
just, if you really look at their culture, they run circles around us, and this is what they eat. And I think it's just gotten so out of hand.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a bigger conversation for me to have is processed versus whole food.
Yeah.
And then if you cook it or not, that's levels of health that we're talking about. But it's like, this is the real conversation for me. It's like processed versus whole food. And the rest is details. And I think that's this. And this is also, I hear this about all the time from my American friends. They're like, when I come to Europe, everyone's eating bread and pasta and cheese and everything, but they're still looking pretty healthy. They have a little bit of a gut, but they're looking very, very healthy. Yeah. But if we eat that in America, what's happening there is that's actually affecting us differently. And probably because it's more processed than back here. This is things that I'm like reading into and looking into, like what's actually happening here. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been looking into that. Matter of fact, it's weird that you say that. I've been making videos about that. I don't think it's over processing. I think it's what's coming out of the skies and everything like that. I think
that's all part of it. That's all part of it. Like that's literally, but just like whole food, home cooked or prepared, if it's raw or sprouted or grown. I mean, yeah. That is the conversation that I'm very like, yes, behind. Like, I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, because I know Durian Rider, because we mentioned him a few times, has gotten really mad at people who live in America because he thinks everybody's lying about, not eating his stuff. I don't actually think that's what it is. I've started digging more into this, I'm publishing videos that I can without YouTube kicking me off. But there's a lot going on with the food here that is not very good, because I've actually known my family is pretty well off, right? I've actually got cousins that have never worked, never will work, and they'll go over to like France or Italy for like 6 weeks, and they'll come back, and they say they eat the entire time. They'll come back like 30 pounds lighter than when they left. And then when they start eating almost the exact same way here, they gain that 30 pounds back. What is causing that is wow. What I'm trying to get to the bottom.
Let's all move to Italy.
What? Huh? Oh yeah.
Let's all move to Italy and eat some pasta.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, this is legit. Like, I'm like, what is causing this? Like, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't spent too much time in the US to be able to say this, actually. But I know, if you're looking not at the main centers, city centers or big cities in Europe, but outside, there's a lot of still like home cooking. Yeah. It's a lot of, own preparing from whatever in the garden, and people are still really, doing it like that. And that's just healthy people. And then if they cook it or not, I mean, yeah, again, that's when we're talking about the grade of healthiness and the grade of healing. But yeah, that's really what I think is the most important conversation. And a lot of people are like myself as well. Like I really got lost into the perfectionism of perfecting my diet and perfecting my body. Definitely.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because people always focus on weight loss, not the health of their body. Yeah. And I think that is the biggest problem. I get this. Yeah. I mean,
I had recently, I've had a very interesting like realization about this, because I always wanted to lose weight, and I've been very, very tiny and very, very heavy and everything in between. Yeah. And right now I'm in the in between. I'm not skinny. I have my curves, but I'm not highly overweight. And this is my own words. Everyone has a different opinion about this. So this is my own view of myself. Yeah. But what happened in the last, I would say 2 months, is I have been getting so much attention from men. Oh. The most that I've ever had in my life, way more than I was super skinny, and also way more than I was very overweight. So I've been thinking, what is happening here? Because I always wanted to lose weight to be attractive for men. Like literally, that was acceptance by society and, attract a dream partner. It was my main motivation for being lean. I definitely had men telling me that I was not attractive or not sexy or anything. And just, it really hurt me. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to redo that. I will show you, how skinny I can be. Yeah. Which had never happened unless I focused on my health. And all of a sudden, here we were in a raw vegan diet, losing all my weight. Yeah. But for me, what my realization was that I'm now getting a lot of attraction and attention from men. I've had marriage proposals, men coming to me saying, I want to birth, I want to have your babies. Like, can you marry me? I've had streaks of 2 weeks where men ask me on dates. I've never been asked on dates, like never. And I was like, what is happening here? So what I actually witnessed is I changed from the inside. I changed my energy. It's so, oh yeah, we all know, but the whole focus on weight issues actually for me makes it a little bit unattractive, because you're like so focused on eating this or not, or how big this meal is or not, how much you worked out or not. And I did 4 months of like a really inner work sabbatical where I looked at myself and I improved my self-love and my self-acceptance, and I saw myself in a different way in the mirror, and that changed everything. So I also wanted to give this and share this with you, because it's so eye-opening for me that for me, I wanted to lose weight because of, attracting an amazing partner and having that male attention, which is also a wound, of course, but that's a different topic. And that completely shifted without me losing weight. Yeah. So I was like, yay. Yeah. Let's all work on our self-love and self-acceptance and forgive just everyone, ourselves and the whole planet. Yeah. And 100%. It's been a very interesting month for me. I was just like, wow. Yeah. This is crazy, but so good. Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually noticed the same thing with myself over the last year or so. It's crazy. I don't know why, because men don't really think as much about this, but like I always thought, well, I got to be more slender, but it just isn't the case. It just isn't the case. It's more like who you are.
Yeah. And if you love yourself, if you find yourself, if you don't find yourself attractive, and it's conditional, it's like, if I am this kind of weight, then I am attractive. Well, good luck to you, because you're never going to be the same. You're always evolving, always changing. You can always work to like the best shape of your life and becoming the healthiest. But if you're in that condition yourself and putting yourself in kind of like, only when I'm like this, then, I'm good enough, or this can happen. It's very a tough journey. And it's like people can literally feel the energy of you accepting yourself and you being in your own power. That's really what it is. 100%. That I find the most important right now and the most interesting. I don't care if I have a belly or not. Yeah, I need to be healthy, but I just like, whatever. If I feel good, then that's what we're going for. Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of my father, because my father, I've actually literally witnessed him get proposed to by 2 very wealthy women over my life. And I'm like, what is he doing that's so different from me? Because I was, hitting the weights at the time. I was, watching everything like this. Everything was calculated. Yeah. And then he overhears this himself. My dad has always just been himself. He's not terribly accepted, maybe even by his own family, but it's a magnetic. It is. Yeah. So, do that. Eat healthy food, unprocessed, whole food as possible, as much as you listen to your body, where it needs to be fully raw, or high raw, or raw to 4, or high starch, or whatever it is, and find your thing. Listen to yourself as much as you can. Don't get lost in all the details unless you're healing and you're very sick and you need this. And then I would say go and jump on over to self-love, acceptance, and forgiveness, and love life.
Yeah. One thing, the last thing diet related I wanted to talk about is, what do you think about supplementation? Do you ever do supplements?
I do always, like B12. Okay. I've been living in the sun for the past 4 years, so I don't do any D3. But I did do it when I was back, in the Northern Europe, and I didn't get too much sun. I want to say, luckily have fallen for the algae trap. So I take some algae just because I studied the Hippocrates Health Institute, and I really want to go there next year as well. And I'm very convinced about algae, so I'm just taking algae or spirulina powder if I don't do the algae kind of thing. Just a security blanket. I wouldn't say I have any like lower things that I'm fixing with that.
Mm.
That's it. Unless I feel called to do like a little of I would say a cleanse of the gut. I would take some, gut healing or anti-parasite kind of little thing for 2 or 3 weeks, and that's it. So the basic supplement I do is B12 and D3 if I need it. And then there is that algae or spirulina add-on that I do. And I find Brazil nut. I take a Brazil nut almost every day. Just one.
Just one.
Yeah.
It's random.
Yeah.
Now you've mentioned, I wasn't even going to ask any more questions, but the Ayurvedic, I had somebody come in my comments section and said that you know that you're done eating when you burp the first time, but I never have that happen. Have you ever heard of this in Ayurvedic with the burping thing?
No, I want to say never, but I almost never burp.
Yeah.
That would mean that I would never be done eating.
Yeah, he said that you haven't eaten enough if you haven't had, and he ran some like center, or he's claimed that. I didn't really look into him, but he said that you have to make sure that you burp once, and then that's how you know that you're full. And I remember it did happen to me like shortly after he said
No
this.
way.
But I had eaten so much that day, it was ridiculous. And I'm like, well, gosh, if I had to eat this much every day, I don't even know how I would do it.
Well, when I hear these kind of things, I'm like checking in with myself instead of like listening to logic or like facts. I'm like, okay, what would that mean for me? And I'm definitely not going to live by that rule. He might be very right, but it's not for me.
No, I mean, it's just so much eating.
Ridiculous in the sense that for me, no, but that's interesting. Maybe it's really right for some bodies.
Yeah.
I notice when I have gas, I know that's a food combination thing or overeating.
Yeah.
That's what my body is giving me. Like, and I only burp when I drink fizzy drinks.
Mm.
Like sparkling water or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting.
No, the Ayurvedic thing taught me for me is that a lots of like heavy spice food isn't right for me. And a lot of like very crispy. Some people really like the crispiness of things like crackers or crisps or like raw broccoli or raw carrots.
Yeah.
The harsher ones. And I'm like more what they call the Vata type. So I'm like the soft, but not ice cold. So like smoothies is great. Melons is great. Soups are amazing for me. That's why also the salad, which is great, like fully raw and lots of raw sprouts and stuff. But if I have this little bit of broccoli with it, that's steamed or a little steamed kind of vegetable thing, it just, for me and my body, it just works really, really well. Digest even better. So just stuff like that I learned in the Ayurvedic world. So I put like that Ayurvedic knowledge onto the raw food diet and saw like, okay, what's actually saying this to me? So not a lot of spice for me and not a lot of harsh things. And I just took whatever was the best for me and just made it into my variant. So I love soups too. I'm a big, like everything so this is my type for me. It's like everything juice, everything smoothie, everything soup. I'm like, yes, that's my happy place. Stews, stuff like that.
I think actually we're the same.
Could be
type. I think we are, because I looked into this years ago, like late 90s.
Okay. Yeah.
Late 90s, early 2000s. So it's been a while, so I don't remember 100%, but I think that was the one that I was. But I want to get off this topic, and because you're still doing coaching, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to just talk about that a little bit, because that's actually, I think, how we really connected in the first.
We had a call like a year and a half ago, because I have 2 clients who said to you maybe, or to me, I don't remember, like you guys should meet. Maybe Ryan wants to set up his coaching business, and this is how we connect. Yeah.
So how did that come around, and what are you still doing with that?
So it came around because after I healed myself on raw foods and plant-based, and I was like, this is it. This is my passion. I went away from my corporate career and I said, I'm just going to do health health advice, health creation. Like I was opening a little juice thing from my home. I was making recipe books, and people started asking me like, what did you actually do? Like, can you help me?
Yeah.
So we started a little, I would say, influencer content creation kind of business, and wanting to make YouTube videos because the people that I looked up to in this industry of raw vegan or vegan were content creators. So that's what I did. I opened up a membership and I started my business like that. And I struggled big time. One, because I really am not a content creator in, editing videos, making videos, that's kind of thing. And I just had a small following, but no job anymore. So I was like looking at this objectively, thinking all of these things that I learned from my coaches who have big communities or like 30-day challenges and all this stuff, they have like 50, 60, 70, 80,000 or 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
But who am I? And I'm not there yet. I didn't know if I wanted to go there yet, but that didn't work for me. So I studied, building a coaching business. I went to kind of like school and studied this with different coaches and found a way for me that really worked. And I started to earn a good amount of money with it. So in the meantime, my friends that were also not really 100% content creators in a sense, not really wanting to become big influencers, but really thriving as coaches or healers or therapists that really wanted to help people transform and have this as their main form of income and business, they started to ask me questions about how are you doing this? Like, how do you build your business? Like, how do you have income? You only have like 2,000 followers on Instagram. There's like only 2 videos on YouTube, but you're making money. What you're doing? So I started to help them on the side while still like selling my health kind of offers. And they came to me and said, look, this is what you should be doing. There are so many, coaches in the health industry and everything, but you're really, really good in this. And I had a background in helping entrepreneurs and advising them since I was 16 years old. So it was really up into my alley to shift from becoming like from being a health coach and content creator in the health thing to becoming more of a business coach for holistic coaches.
Yeah.
So that just started to slowly, but not even like slowly, just started to build up. I just had my own program, which was first one-on-one, and then it started to become groups, and then started to become a bigger like academy, like an evergreen group.
Yeah.
And then I had next level clients and masterminds and private premium clients. And that grew in the last 2 years really amazingly. And I was very fortunate with that and just very happy with my quote unquote small business. And I am on Instagram, but not on YouTube, like being there with content creators. So a specific kind of niche of coaches who are not really wanting to become full-time content creators, or maybe do, but need some income right now. Like don't have the time to build that following, or don't want to, or don't have the skills. So that's what I end up as my niche, most of them holistic coaches. But over the years, I started to also attract big content creators who actually wanted to go back to simplicity. And working more higher end and having more transformational offers in a sense for the clients instead of just recipe books or 30-day challenges or stuff. So that's been my main focus for the past, I would say, year, is helping them go back to simplicity and really delivering big transformations for their clients and being able to offer higher end prices and do longer trajectories. And during this phase of my business, also, my natural talents and gifts started to blossom more. So I'm experimenting with that. It's a lot of energetics that I do instead of only just business strategy now. I really tune into what I have a line is I can channel with the Akashic records. So I see people's potentials and their life path and their soul lessons and agreements. And I was very scared of putting this into my business. And now I'm like so excited to put that in, because it's just why most of the time works. Because when I talk with someone like, oh, you should be doing this should be doing there. I think this is this, your life path was there, but this is where you're going. And they love it. So it's changing and evolving all the time. And right now it's involving that I really, really like live work instead of online. Yeah. It's not always possible, but I'm focusing more on that, and I'm opening up spaces where I am in the world. And right now, I'm at my old house in Holland from my but I am more centered in Ibiza, which is an island of Spain.
Oh, okay.
Mediterranean. And I'm inviting clients to come to me and have like a 3-day experience, which it's for me, it's so much fun. So it's more live and it's more deep dive and more intense, but they get all of the clarity and strategies and activations and also alignment that they need. So I'm playing with my business as much as I love to. And I've come from big groups to small groups to high-end clients, one-on-one. And I'm just flowing with this for my own unique pathway. And that's actually what's happening. And I'm very, very privileged because I had a lot of pressure on my shoulders to become like my mentors and have big audiences and big following. And that's not really for me.
Okay.
I like the simplicity. I like the quietness. I like just working with a handful of people that I really, really admire, and they really like to work with me. And that's it. And I'm happy I found my own little pathway in this, as far as I am right now.
Well, you seem very good at it. Did you mention Akashic Records in
Yes.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay. All right. I don't want to get into that, but like, I'm not too many people know what that is. So that's interesting. Okay. So I think that's all the questions I really had right now, but I wanted you to get that out there because people who watch this might need your help. And so where can people find you? And I'm going to link that down in the description section.
Well, basically the best way is Instagram. That's my main account. I'm building a website on the back end because I've never had a need for a website or had a website. So I'm doing it on the back end, but right now it's best through Instagram. And this is my full name. It's Sophie with a Phie and then Alexandra and then Pool. And my last name is with double O, like a swimming pool. Okay. And that's the handle. And from there you can find information or just send me a DM. And my main passion right now is doing this 3-day activation, kind of like retreat, one-on-one private for entrepreneurs who really want to level up in Ibiza. So then I invite you to come to me. And I'm very, very much excited about it. Just the creation was already everything. So yeah. That's alive.
That's interesting. So anything that you wanted to finish with?
No, I don't think so. No, it was very fun just having this interaction with you and talking about it and just, having this little check-in also for me, where I am in my journey, because I've been a lot of different stages and a lot of different things. And that it's just a journey,
It is. Yeah. It's everybody's journey. All right, Sophie. So I think I'm going to close this out here. So, like, subscribe, comments, questions, like normal. I guess if I get enough questions, maybe we'll have you back on. We'll see how that goes.
So open for everything. I love to be a content creator through you or through other people, and be aware there. But just to finalize, like, I've seen you in your journey. You look amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you look amazing too. I just, whenever I say that to somebody, then I get like the weirdest comments in my section.
But I know you from little different stages, and I know sleep has also been a thing for you. But I just, you're vibrating good right now. Like I see more than just with my skills. I see energetics. So you're vibrating pretty good here.
Yeah, well, I run off people's energies as well, so I try to keep the energy good. Like
that's a good interviewer skill.
It can be rough in like if you go to like a where everybody's grumpy, like I feel it, and so I try to keep that energy higher.
Good, amazing. Anyway, more than welcome. I'm more than happy to come back for whatever when it's aligned and it feels good.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to end there, and we'll talk to you in the next video.